Moss.
Hi, Wendy Stuart. How are you?
Oh, I am just fine and dandy on this rainy Wednesday, and welcome everyone to If These Walls Could Talk.
Yes. Now, wasn't it supposed to snow or something today? Or is it
You know what? You're right. It was, and thank God. You know what? I'm telling everyone, we've become like in New York, the temperate zone. We're not getting hit with weather. We're so
I
lucky.
miss the snow. I seriously do. I love snow. And for the past couple of years, we just haven't gotten a lot. Yeah.
Right.
But
Exactly.
I thought it was going to snow a while today and then turn into rain and wash it all away, which would have been perfect. But
you know what? We're blessed with rain. Happy to be here today. I am still in recovery from that enormous party that I gave. I am. I have to be honest with you. It really, you know what? I thought, 18 performers, 2 shows. Girl, you can do this with your eyes closed. And then I did a big fundraiser on Saturday for TriVersity, which is the LGBTQ that I'm a part of and helped start in Milford, Pennsylvania, but we service the upstate tri-state area. My amazing friends, John, Stephen, Hellman, and his partner, John Henry, who produced it, drag queens, Black Cherry Lovey and Kay Gorgeous. I'm telling you, they put on a drag show to raise money for the organization and celebrate my birthday. And I was totally blown away. It was a 3.5 hour freaking production. I know the most creative, generous people, as you do, Tim, because you're one of them. People that are out there, they have a joy in using their creativity to make a difference in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And back to your party.
Yes.
I mean, the photos and everything are still coming in.
Still coming in.
Later. It was such a spectacular evening.
Beautiful write-up by Jed
I was
Ryan.
just going to say, Jed Ryan just wrote up a wonderful
Lavender After Dark, which everybody should subscribe to that. Jed is a brilliant writer and also
photographer.
Oh my God, a lot of the picture, of course. I mean, Jed Ryan does it all, and he does a little burlesque too. So there you go.
And he's a nurse.
And he's a nurse.
I mean, how does he do everything? I don't know. I don't think he's human.
A fabulous person. And the write-up in the Village Sun, John Pietero, Lori Tower, other half. Thank you. That was a really beautiful write-up there. So it was great. We had an amazing time.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think I talked about the last show. I auditioned for a film the next day, and I said if it had been a zombie film, I would have gotten the lead because that's how I felt. But I ended up getting a part in it, and I'm very exciting. It's I play one of the neighbors at the scene in the funeral home. Making comments. So I will be filming in a funeral home. I've never done that before.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I had what I thought again was a slow week coming, but we shot a episode of Comedy Sex Show out of Brooklyn, and then yesterday I went out in the morning to Brooklyn to my friend Julia. She has a place out there where it does electrolysis and facials, and she's doing teeth whitening. So she went out and.
Wait, let's see. Oh, you got the trays.
I got my teeth whitened.
Oh my God. Look at you.
Well, again, I mean, I smoked for 30 years, so my teeth are not going to be sparkly white, but they are whiter than what they were. Definitely.
That's so good. Let me see your tray again. Could you hold it up? My trays were smaller.
Yeah. This.
God, they're like objects of art, Tim. Yeah, put that thing in. That is just. Hello, Tym Moss.
3 20-minute sets.
Yeah.
With these. But yeah, I brought them home just so I could show you.
Oh my God. I'm very excited.
I left there to go do this like a survey or like a lab test thing where they're testing for products.
Oh, and cool.
That was she was in Williamsburg, and then I went up in Greenpoint, I think, and then I did this survey, and then I walked to Queens, crossed the bridge and walked over into Queens and caught the 7 train to get back to Manhattan. I was just all over the place yesterday.
Tym Moss, the man of many boroughs.
And tomorrow I'm going to be back in Astoria, which is where Chauncey is, shooting a film.
Fabulous.
For a friend of mine, George Zoufalos. And he wrote me in, which was really nice because I was trying to help him, with some casting and stuff.
And that's what friends are for.
Yeah. And he was like, let me write you in. I was like, okay. So we're shooting that tomorrow. And Friday, I think we do Comedy Sex Show again. So that was my slow week.
Right.
So I'm still waiting to rest up. But
we also want to give shout outs while we're here. The Imperial Court is celebrating Sugar Be Real's birthday. And you can get in touch with me, text me. I'll give you the address. It's a club over in Jackson Heights. I had to text her to get the directions to go to Jackson Heights. I'll be performing at that, which I'm very excited about.
Fun.
Sunday night is a red carpet for the film The Beast. And we had the star of that on the show.
Oh, actually, yes. I'll be covering that red carpet.
You're covering The Beast, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I will see you there at the red carpet Sunday night.
And then I'll see you Monday night.
The biggie, the Glam Awards.
Yes. New York City nightlife. Well, mostly the drag community. It's their big night. And it's just, oh my God, the glitz, the glamour, there is so much makeup. I mean, Maybelline just makes it.
Right. Maybelline pales in comparison. I tell you what I love about the Glam Awards. First of all, the performances, the level of performances on that stage are like what you would pay for a $200 ticket to Broadway. They are so amazing. But what I noticed last year, just like regular people or what they used to call club kids, in the most extraordinary attire with makeup, with hair, the lengths.
And just the outfits and
just amazing.
Yeah, just everything. Yeah.
It's
so creative.
Actually, yes, it's creative, it's inspirational. And of course, speaking of creative, inspirational,
and it's fun.
It's fun. We had Kobe Cole's monthly show, Nouveau Riche. My God, we are like just little chatterboxes of events. We had Nouveau Riche here at PANGEA last night. It's usually the last Tuesday of the month. This one was the next to the last Tuesday. Again, extraordinary talent. They were everyone, of course. One is just as good as the next. Sophia Ramos did a rendition of a Led Zeppelin song. I swear to God, it was like having Led Zeppelin in the room. I was out of the bathroom when she started. I couldn't stop dancing. I danced all the way back to my seat. She is fierce. Now, Tim, you're also going to a party for Lottie Da.
Yes, Lottie Da, the 80s freestyle singer. Yeah, she's having a party on Saturday that I'm going to be going to. I can't wait. I love her. So.
Fantastic. We have the best friends in the world. And speaking of the most creative, incredible people in the world, before we get to that, don't we have a station identification, Tim?
We do. I thought you were okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss. And we will be right back with our wonderful guest, Ben Boecker.
So today, I first met Ben Boecker here at PANGEA at Kobe's show. And again, the best things besides seeing great performances, you get to talk to people at the bar and you find out who they are. I just loved his charisma. I loved his smile. He's just one of those performers that and he makes you feel good. He writes musicals and they all have like nice titles and there's nice things that happen in them. If you're around Ben, you're going to be happy. And you know what? No wonder. He's a voice teacher. And his thing is when he teaches voice, it's about speaking to hearts. Okay. So he's paying it forward in that way. He composes, he sings, he does it all. And my God, he's young and he has this whole repertoire of stuff. It's just amazing. So please put your hands together for Ben Boecker.
Yay.
Hey, Wendy.
We're good.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Ben?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Okay. Are we centered, Tim?
I think you are. You're
okay,
actually
good, because we know I tend to hog up the screen.
Yeah.
Well, Ben,
I think that's perfect.
Thank you so much for
welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome to our wild and crazy show.
So Wendy, so you were in Kobe's Nouveau Riche.
Yeah, that was
at PANGEA, which is where you're at now. Oh, isn't that a wonderful, wonderful show?
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, it's really amazing. The talent and it's one of the things I love about it is it's a $5 ticket. Is that right? So you can it's so accessible and also so high level. It's just you find the intersection of those things.
I think what people need to understand is how high level. I talk about this with Tim all the time, and I come to every one of them. But the one thing that I don't like the answer for, every performer I've spoken to, I'm like, who's representing you? Who's your agent? Who's your manager? I don't have one. Okay. That's what I hear. Yeah. And I have yet, and I'm putting this out there into the universe. In my brain that never stops moving, will figure out a way to get industry people in here.
I think we should, like, in our friends list, because basically all these people are our friends.
Right.
And we need to find like somebody to represent our group, like the different talent that we have.
That's a great idea.
I think that would really be great. So that way we'd all be covered under the same umbrella.
Right. One-stop shopping, as we call it. I think that a person that could totally do that. It's just brilliant. So how did you get started in this industry?
In which industry? Theater, teaching.
Well, what was interesting, and I said this to Ben before, besides being in production in theater, a composer, and that Ben was smart enough to become a teacher.
Yeah, so I've always identified as a teaching artist. I for a long time I struggled to find the right word to like really describe what I do, and then there were a bunch of jobs when I was younger, like at Wingspan and Tada, and the title was teaching artist. And I thought, that's what I do, because I teach and I do my art, and they both inform each other. They both work together. So, yeah.
So, I'm going to backtrack a little. You mentioned Tada, which of course, how old were you when you were working with Tada?
Like my mid-20s, probably, like 25 or 26. Yeah.
And you're working with the talented kids at Tada.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing.
That's a youth theater. And where are they located?
They are at 15 West 28th Street.
Yeah.
Still. Yes.
Yeah. They've been there for forever.
Yeah, the emerging artists. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the home of Tada, as well as emerging artists.
Yeah.
They have a great theater there and a great program there. It's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you were a kid, when did you start to show that you were a musical kid, right?
Yeah. I don't know how positive it was all the time, but yeah, so I was a very musical kid, and I hear stories of how I would sing standing in the shopping cart in the grocery store.
Oh, I love that. That's so cute.
Yeah.
Entertaining ShopRite.
What, you were singing "We Will Rock You"?
Yeah, like you got mud on your big display. So I don't know how cute it was or not, but
that's cute. I told you he was cute, Tim. That's cute. That's a cute,
adorable
story. How old were you when you did that?
I don't know.
You were in this shopping.
Probably 3 or 4 years old.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I was little. Yeah.
Right, but you obviously had an affinity for music. You play the piano like nobody's business. Did your parents make you take piano lessons, or you wanted to?
So I don't, these are such young age questions. So I don't know.
It's okay, 100%. Girl. We're going to go back. Believe me, when I have to go back, it's a lot further than you. So.
Okay. So one of the things that my dad had me do was he had me play this game where you could like play the piano into a sort of game, and it would give you immediate feedback if you got the notes right. So before I took any lessons, I was like training on this game, and it was a lot of fun. So then when I walked into lessons, I already knew a lot. And it was like, I was just like a great student because I'd already trained like on this video.
On a toy though.
It's basically like, yes, you plug your piano, your keyboard into the computer, and it would like have lots of graphics and be like, do this thing. And then you do that thing and it'd be like, good job. So it's really positive and lots of fun.
Right.
Tim, I want one of those.
Yeah, I wish I knew what it was called.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you remember what it was called?
I mean, I'm sure
it taught you how to play piano, or
taught you how to play piano.
That's fabulous.
You'd put stickers on the keyboard, right? So
I love this already.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh my God, Tim, this is so great. I don't know how I like.
Perfect. So now you grew up in Long Island. Where on Long Island?
Well, our first home was in Malvern with my great grandmother.
Wow.
Yep. And we were there until I was probably about 2 years old.
Wow.
And then we moved to Plainview.
Plainview, Long Island.
Yeah.
Is that near Middle Island? Where is Plainview? Tell me where.
Plainview is in Nassau County.
Nassau County. That's how they talk about Long Island. They talk about the counties.
Yeah.
Wait, I forget which one is closer and which one's further out.
Yeah.
Are you more the Hamptons or more like Hempstead?
Nassau is closer.
Close, yeah.
Suffolk is the further out one.
Yeah.
That goes
Okay, so I have to judge everything by the distance to Fire Island.
Right?
Yeah, well, Fire Island's on the south end of the island, right? So
Right.
But it's far.
It's closer to Nassau, I think, than Suffolk.
Yeah, it's right on the kind of the close to the border.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like basically Plainview is very close to the border between them. It's like on
Okay.
on the east end of Nassau County.
And how close were you to Robert Moses State Park?
Half an hour.
Okay,
probably.
good. That's my point of reference, Tim. I grew up going to Robert Moses, the beach.
Which was
That
my
was our
Fire Island as a kid, was Robert
Moses
State
State
Park.
Okay.
And they told us it was Fire Island because there were lots of fire ants. And you could
But it is technically, Tim, you're talking about Fire Island. It technically is like the start of Fire Island, Robert Moses.
Right. Is that near Jones Beach or no?
Yes.
Jones Beach. Okay.
No, it's right near Jones Beach. Yeah, that whole
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole strip right in through there. Yeah.
So,
well, that sounds. I mean, that would be a lovely place to grow up. Were either of your parents, were they musical or were they encouraging?
My dad was musical by trade, and when he was in college, he would play at coffee shops, and he had a whole life thing going on. He elected not to pursue it like full time. But he's very talented, and my mom, she's a great singer. She would never tell you that, but I've heard her sing, and she's very wonderful. Played a guitar. So yeah, I grew up around music for sure.
And you know, Ben, you can tell he's so well adjusted too. You are. I mean, any neuroses that you're carrying is not. Trust me, we interview people. You can tell you come from a very supportive home.
Oh,
that's the truth.
I feel very lucky.
Yeah. You can see that, which is great. And now you teach a lot.
I do.
You have a big teaching background.
I do. Yeah.
Where was your first job for teaching?
My first job for teaching was probably either Brooklyn Friends School or Lincoln Orange on Long Island.
Wow.
They were both. So yeah, Brooklyn Friends School, I was music directing Rent.
Oh my God.
For their school. Yeah, for like their upper school musical. And then at Lincoln Orange, I was directing and music directing their middle school musical, which was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it was super
So when you were in college, you went really more in a musical direction than going for straight performing.
Yeah, actually, that's why I chose the school I went to. I went to UNC Chapel Hill.
Oh, Chapel Hill. Oh, no wonder you're so nice. It is. It's not. Oh, it's a great school.
It is a great school. It is a great school.
It's chill.
It's
did you
quite intense.
Yeah.
You studied music, but was it a combination music and education?
No, it was not actually. Yeah, but I did activities that were educational. Like I was music directing for the student theater group, and I was an RA for a year. So I did some more stuff like a counseling job at a music festival upstate and that kind of stuff. Like that background going on.
Always. It's so you have had from the very beginning an affinity for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not to be the star, not to have all the eyes on you. You've been okay. Now the cat's out of the bag. You knew I got that. Do you want to be a star?
I mean, I don't mind. Right?
Now, listen. What's so impressive about Ben? All of these. You go to his website, original musical. There's one after the next, after the next, after the next. You've done so many for one so young. What's this process that lets you do this?
Well, for a long time, it was just an obsession, honestly.
Wow.
Like it was practically compulsive. And I know other writers who feel the same way. And I feel like I'm at a point now where it's less compulsive because I've done a lot of work on myself and I don't feel that compulsion. I write because I want to write now. For a long time, I was just writing because it was literally compulsive. It was like I would stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning. I would go days without like cleaning anything or just like, if I had a week off, be the whole time in my apartment just writing. So it was.
So what? how are you inspired? Like, does the music come to you first, or does the story come and then you add the music?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I think all those things, all of the above, it really depends on the situation. When I'm writing an original show, and I've written like a few different original shows, they've come from all different places. You know, one of them was just started as a script and then adding songs to it. And then another one started as a story, right? Which then I adapted it into a play or musical, right? So there's all different, well, some of them just start as musicals and you're like, oh, that's an idea for a song that needs to grow into something else. So it's always different, I feel, but it's always based on whatever is happening in the story. I think that's the underpinning of all musicals, is really the story.
The story.
Yeah.
You story tell through your musicals.
Exactly. And if it's a song, if it starts with a song, it's like the song's got a story, right? And it's
right.
And then
you could be, oh, well, this could happen before it, and this could happen after it, and this could,
right,
kind of build a story around that. Yeah.
So what you said that was really makes me, station
identification. I want to say thank you for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful guest, Mr. Ben Boecker.
So I want to go back to when you were compulsive, staying up all night, and because my husband Alan Kaplan is a well-known visual artist, filmmaker. Never it's very hard. I live with it.
Yeah.
Up till 2 a.m, or then getting up at 3 and writing things down. No control. The day has no beginning, no middle, no end. Forgets to eat, and everyone's like, "Well, he's in his 80s." I'm like, "No, it's not because of that. It is like this artist. He's been like that his whole life. He will go on shoots and not eat. How did you keep your creativity, keep your momentum, and get rid of that insane compulsion?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the compulsion was me trying to understand myself better. As I grew to understand myself better, and I've done a lot of therapy. I've been to therapy for the past 6 or 7 years.
I told you he was well adjusted. I got that from you immediately. Right. You did the work.
I've done a lot of work. Yeah. And as I learned more about myself, I sort of was getting the answers that I was looking for in the text of my work. I was able to just actually understand those things about myself and didn't feel the need to pry into fiction in order to find those answers.
Right.
Yeah.
And it definitely let you change the way you work to trust yourself enough to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's still scary, because
it's scary.
Writing is always scary, but it definitely feels more truthful.
Now I saw one of my favorite musicals is Funny Girl. Because Barbara Streisand, huge,
of course.
Fan. Now I saw you played Nikki Arnstein. That was an outdoor perform. I mean, that show alone, firstly, it's got so many levels. Firstly, it's such a difficult show. It's got so many different layers, so many scene changes, and the score is just outrageous. I mean, you've got to vocally be very strong to do this, and you did this outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it anywhere. But I love that fact.
Yeah, it was so fun. We did it actually at the planting fields on Long Island. I don't know if you know that.
Oh my God.
What is a planting field? It sounds like there's a lot of cemeteries. I'm sorry, in Long Island. So
there might be a cemetery there. I'm not sure. They do a lot of weddings.
The planting fields.
Yeah.
A name for a place.
It's an arboretum, so they have lots of flowers. They've got beautiful green pastures. It's just a really big sort of walk around.
You did the whole performance outside there. Wow.
It was part of a touring production of Funny Girl with Plaza Productions, which went through Long Island and went through New Jersey and went through different parts of New York. So I was actually a swing and I was a dancer. But
you dance also. Wow.
Yeah, I was like one of the dancers and singers. And that night, the person who played Nikki Arnstein about a week before said, I have to go to a wedding next week and I can't be in the show. Right. And they were I was sitting in the room and he was like, does anybody want to do it? Like, I'll do it.
I'll do it.
So I learned it in a week and then went up. And I've done that before because I did summer stock and we did a show in a week. Yeah. So
I want to be seen with you, or I want to be seen with you on my arm.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that, Tim.
That's great. Yeah,
I
you
know
got
it's cute.
it.
Wow. That always amazes me. I couldn't learn a show in a week. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm a person that I'm either booked to, do improv, which is
Mhm.
easy for me, or it takes me
that's so hard for me.
right, but it takes me for freaking ever to
Yeah.
put myself, and I can do it, but it amazes me. You did it in a week. This guy, Tim, you had to learn a part. Remember, you were doing that show in Florida. Well, you had a week to learn that part. See, I remember.
No, one of the other actors did. I just stepped in to help him, but I was a supporting role and had my own role to learn.
It's a lot. It is,
especially in a musical. But that's what I love about musicals is because, again, of the layers, because you've got not only the dialogue, but the music and also the dancing and the choreography.
Yeah.
That is, and to be able to pull all of that together in a nice flow is just, that's so satisfying.
It was really
so Ben has done all of these musicals, and the thing, there is a real common thread. They're nice stories. They're like, you can write children's books too, that, right?
Actually, I thought about
I knew you did.
Definitely.
I'm like, my God, this is like, you're like a cup of tea with honey. Or my rabbits, when I pet them at the end of the day, I feel good. Tell me about, I printed out, of course, a bunch of the things from God of Love. Tell me about that show.
Yeah, that was one of the first pieces that I really wrote. I mean, I started in college with an original piece, but this was the I did in BMI. This is not original. It's based on a short film which won I think it won an Oscar. This short film, it was an Oscar-winning short film by Luke Matheny that we got the rights to from the author, and we presented it as part of our class at BMI Musical Theater Workshop. So the story is, and now I'm having to go back in my brain here.
We have it.
You
did the story, or you had the basic story, but you did the music to it.
Yeah, so there's a short film, and it's 10, maybe 20 minutes long, and we created a 10-minute musical based on this short film.
Nice.
Raymond, a very talented dart thrower and nightclub singer, is in love with his drummer Kelly, but she won't return his affection. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
When he needed divine assistance, and it's answered him in the form of love darts in a box.
Yeah.
How much do you love that?
A brilliant short.
Warm-hearted, witty adventure ensues. It's not, you know what? It's nice stuff.
Yeah.
You like to do nice,
actually, you and I, we need to talk too.
Yes.
I've got so many ideas up here that I need to get out.
A gazillion.
Definitely. Let's
talk.
But firstly, I just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our special guest, Mr. Ben Boecker.
Yay!
Now, in addition to music and theater and teaching voice and all of this, you have another side or another persona. Can you tell us about your persona? And we also have a video I'd like to watch.
Yes, we'll jump to the video
absolutely.
too. So tell us about
how did that develop?
Yeah.
Star Simon, she was born a long time ago. I didn't really, I feel like this was years ago. I like it more now, but a while I didn't really like my name. I thought, it's hard to pronounce. It's spelled weird. It doesn't really sound like my music. And I thought, I want to have a persona that sounds like my music, where the name sounds like what I do. And that was where the original idea came from. And I suggested it to my family. And I said, I'm thinking about changing my name to a pen name. And one of them was like, she sounds like a stripper. And I was like,
Star.
And I was like, no, it's supposed to be Paul Simon. Like, I love Paul Simon. And then she's a star. So I was like, it's like, it totally makes sense to me. But I realized that she's probably more a drag character. And I think that's where the sort of balance of those two things was. It's like not necessarily going to change my name to that, but that I have a persona that is that character. And she's still constantly evolving. She's always changing, but she writes, she's got her own musical she's writing. And she has a YouTube channel where I did like 10 videos during the pandemic. And that's sort of like the culmination, the one that I sent you the clip, that is a culmination of all these different videos where she realized she was stuck in a YouTube video. And she realized over time that she wanted to bust out
of the YouTube.
Yeah, bust out of YouTube. Exactly. And this was like during the pandemic when everybody's like stuck at home and like,
I love it.
But you used it. This is a really good point. Ben used it to develop this character.
Yes,
absolutely.
So you shot 10 pieces about Star during the pandemic.
Yeah, they were all like between 30 seconds and a minute long. And at the time I was living in an apartment in Harlem and my roommate had left. So I moved into the smaller bedroom and I turned my bedroom into a studio. And I just got a big screen and hung it up. And I put like lights. I got these DJ lights that someone was giving away because they were closing their office. And, you know, it was honestly one of the best periods of time in my life.
This is a great pandemic story that you're telling.
Yeah, because you're in total control of everything. Right. I love that.
And creating.
Tell us about the video we're going to watch.
Yeah,
sure. So this video, it's called Be You. It's a music video. And this was the last piece sort of the series of YouTube videos of Star Simon busting out of YouTube. But there was a long time. I did the 10 videos. And then the last video was like, I'm going to bust out. And that was the last video. And about a year later, I shot this music video in my new apartment, which is very different. And it was a very different filming process. Part of why it took so long was because I had moved. But the impetus to finally do it was that the church that I sing at, they commissioned me to do a original song for Pride. And this was 2021.
Love it.
So this video was sort of, I knew that I already wanted to do the song. I wanted to do this music video. And they finally, like, I got the impetus, like the reason, like somebody wants to see this. So I was like, all right, I'm going to finish it. And it took me like a week in June. And I just.
And here it is. Wow. Be You.
Look at the pictures in the magazines. See someone you wish you were. Soak in the models on the TV screens. See someone you wish you were. Gaze at the album cover photographs of the pop stars on display. Study every move they make. And when you look away, be you. Be you. No one else knows how to be like you do. So shine through. Be you. 'Cause no matter what they say, you know it's true. No one else knows how to be like you do. Look at the lawyers in their private clubs. See someone you wish you were. Stare at the doctors in their floor-length scrubs. See someone you wish you were. Gape at the tycoons and the CEOs and the salaries they earn. Study every move they make, and then when it's your turn, be you, be you. No one else knows how to be like you do, so shine through. Be you, 'cause no matter what they say, you know it's true. No one else knows how to be like you do. When the way you feel inside your heart and the life you lead are far apart, then it may be time for a brand new start. Go ahead, make it happen. You can make it happen. Be you, be you. No one else knows how to be like you do, so shine through. Be you, 'cause no matter what they say, you know it's true. No one else knows how to be like you do. No one else knows how to do it, so go ahead and get to it. No one else knows how to be like you do.
Bravo. I love that. And I mean, it's just such a positive song. It's fun.
Right.
I looked at the three of us as we're watching the video and we're all smiling and moving. And it's just, I love it. I love it.
I could also see this, my God, for 5-year-olds. You can. I could see the song itself is such a positive message.
Yeah.
I love that you can do this. It's great.
Thank you.
You know, it's very powerful. Kids struggle with this. And I mean, we love the video and it's great for Pride and all of that. And it certainly reflects the way you see things. But for children, so many kids struggling, you could teach them this song. Or what are you doing with this song? What's happening with this song? Ben, what's happening with this song now?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's happening particularly with the song, but with the character, you know,
you're gonna
I'm
keep
developing.
it. I love it.
I'm hoping to do. I don't know if this actually happened or not, but I'm hoping to do a concert at the Triad in May for this character. Yeah, they had reached out to me a while ago after my 54 Below show. They said we want you to do a
which
show
I want to talk
here.
about. Right.
I can't remember if we actually confirmed a date or not yet.
So so you got to keep us posted. We would totally come.
Absolutely, absolutely. But thank you everyone for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your host Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss and our wonderful guest Ben Boecker. Now, you mentioned your 54 Below debut. I want to talk about some of the places that you performed too. Tell us about that. I mean, that would have just been incredible. I love that stage.
Yeah, and that was what, 10 years in New York.
Yes.
So I can only imagine, Tim. Tell us about the show.
Yeah, it was a blast. I feel like it was also like one of these things where I didn't know exactly what I was going to do in that show until probably about 10 minutes before the show.
Oh, wow.
Certain things that I was, as a writer, it's a lot of original work, right? And there were certain things about the story of the night that I was not sure how they were going to fall into place. And there's a mantra, there's a song that I love. I think it's a Leonard Cohen song. And one of the lines is, ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And that's the mantra that I was repeating to myself, because I was like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to work. It needs to work. And I kept wanting to be perfect and like abandon the things that I know work and be like, but I kept repeating that to myself, and it worked. It wound up working. I was very happy about it.
You can never go wrong with Leonard Cohen, by the way. I'm a big, I was stand for me. I love Leonard Cohen. But yeah, you just had a kind of, what do they say? Toss caution to the wind.
Yeah, exactly.
And do it.
Yeah.
And so what was the process like for you there?
So 54 Below is amazing. They're super supportive of their artists, and I felt like super taken care of. They gave me super advice along the way at every step. They helped connect me with people for the press release. They gave me very explicit instructions in terms of how to promote the show. And we sold really well. I was super happy with how we sold. And I just had a great time. We had a really awesome band up there. And I remember the show going by really fast and being like, oh my God, it's over already.
That's probably how it felt when you were up there.
Yeah. And my one regret is I didn't have an encore. And I want to say to like the world, like, I'm so sorry that I didn't.
You didn't think to like have the encore, right? You weren't ready for
that.
Right.
Yeah. That night, I was like, I knew exactly what I would have done if I had like 2 seconds to think about it.
What would you tell us?
Would have done Thank God I'm a Country Boy and just took out my guitar and drag, and I would have just played Thank God I'm a Country Boy, get the band, because everybody can play that, right? It's not a hard song to play, and I think that would have just brought the house down, but it was too late. I was like doing that in my dreams that night.
If only, right?
Living the dream, the dream.
But you know what, you're gonna have time to do that again, because it's everything is ahead for you. You've got things in development now.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a show coming up at Emerging Artists Theater.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing My True Love, a perfect musical fairy tale, which is probably the show that I am the most excited about right now. So that's coming up really soon.
Cool.
Yeah. And other things as well. I'm working on a new musical about ayahuasca with one of my collaborators.
Ayahuasca, please tell me what ayahuasca.
It's a South American
hold on a second. I've actually done it.
You've done it.
I'm like,
oh my God.
This is what happens.
I am familiar.
Thank you for working with me on this. I'm like, ayahuasca. I know that it was someone I met in Peru. It wasn't someone. It was the that had particular indigenous people that do ayahuasca. We were actually with.
Oh, you went to Peru?
I've been there 6 times specifically to study indigenous people and animals that are remote. So ayahuasca is it lets you see the truth.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell me the story behind this for you.
So this is why I want to write about ayahuasca, because like my whole vibe is to like be true to yourself, and ayahuasca like helps you see that, right? So I connected with this woman. Her name is Savannah Lobel, and she's an amazing, amazing writer that I met through a virtual writers group during the pandemic. And we just knew we wanted to write together. Right. She saw a reading of My True Love, a virtual reading, and then she reached out to me and said, hey, we should write something. And we like started chatting. It took us a while to get started, but we went through a bunch of different ideas. And this was the idea that we were just like, we have to write this show. So we've been working on it for a little over a year now, and it's slow. It's really slow because we're still learning so much about ayahuasca, and we're learning so much about each other as brand new collaborators too. So it takes time. It takes time for you to like get on the same page and like really
But have either of you tried ayahuasca?
Neither of us have done it.
So I'm telling you, because you're an artist, I'm telling you, if you can do this, it's very easy to go down there and get hooked into the group. They would welcome you with open arms, and you would get to experience what happens to your brain on that. It's scary because it opens up doors, and it opens up portals.
Yeah.
And anyone will tell you that's not, but neither of you has like.
No, well, we've talked about it a number of times.
Is that like the form of acid?
It's a medicinal plant, Tim, that grows that and the group that I know that does it, there's a bunch of indigenous groups, but they use it in their ceremonies and rituals because a lot of with tribal people, a lot of being able to see how they move forward and what they need to do next comes from using these medicinal plants. But there are tourists that go down there just to, man, I want to get high. I heard they got really great stuff. But for what Ben's doing,
but I had a friend of mine, I was thinking it was Peruvian, was telling me about not a therapy, but kind of like a means of opening up.
Yes, Tim, that's yes.
Yeah. So I think that's what he was talking about. Yeah.
It's ayahuasca.
Yeah, it's in the same family as like LSD in terms of like stuff. Similarly to how there was a trend, and I think maybe in some places there still are people who do this, were to use LSD to help you open and connect with.
They're doing that
right?
here, but LSD is also a manufactured drug. The thing about indigenous people and medicinal plants, these are rituals and traditions that are hundreds of years. I don't know. This is so like judgmental of me, but it's pure.
Yeah,
it's part of religion, and
well, it's nature. It's nature.
Thank you.
Sure,
right.
Exactly. And they make brew a tea with it, so they'll.
I think that would make a fabulous story.
Oh my, Tim, I agree. Oh, let's have tea.
And to have a musical number.
Yes.
Experiencing it.
Right.
Yes.
So that's why I think you do need to get down to Peru to experience it firsthand, so that you can write the song that is the climax of the show.
And honestly, if you want to do that, I can hook you up to do that.
Oh, cool.
Relatively inexpensively.
Oh, wow.
And you can call the song Tea for Two.
Okay, great.
But I totally could do that. I would have someone that put me in those places.
That's
and
awesome.
he's still doing it.
Cool.
I would love, wouldn't that be great? Let's send Ben to Peru.
That'd be fabulous. Now, thank you everyone for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful guest, Ben Boecker.
Yay.
Now, just a couple things I just wanted to touch on real quick before we close this segment out. Now, you had met with Kobe Cole's variety show, Nouveau Riche.
Right.
And also, I noticed that you also did Susie Mosher's. The lineup over at Birdland, which is so fabulous.
Awesome.
Yeah. So tell us about that experience.
Oh, it's an amazing show. It was so fun. I think I did that in 2020 or 2019 before the pandemic. So it was still fairly new at the time. I think she'd probably done 9 or 10 shows or something.
Oh, okay.
And she invited me on after seeing me sing at Cast Party, which I love Cast Party.
Oh, yes, with Jim and Billy, and Jim Caruso and Billy Stritch. And
yeah, I frequently go there and sing. And I sang a guitar song about how it feels to be friends with somebody when like you really just want to have sex with them, and like
right.
Right.
I saw your video of that. Yeah.
Friend song. Yeah.
The friend song.
So
I'm
she
really
came up to me and said, "Oh, you got to come sing at the lineup." And so at the lineup, I sang a different song. I sang "My True Love," which is the song, actually one of the songs that I sang at Colby's show when we met.
Right.
I sang that for the lineup, and it was really awesome. And I made some new friends that night, which was super cool. Nice. So yeah, it's a great show. I recommend checking it out.
Now you write music, you write musicals, you sing, you also play guitar and play piano. Piano. Wow.
Yeah.
And teach voice. Wow. Yes. You're just walking music.
One-stop shopping. I just I'm dying to know you were in Malaysia.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to. We'll have to catch that in the after.
Malaysian part 2. Okay. Part 2.
But firstly, tell everybody how they can reach you and find out more about you.
Yes, follow me, and you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Those are both great places to follow me. It's just at my name, at BenBoecker.
Okay, cool.
Or you can go to my website,
Yes.
www.benboecker. This is why I wanted to change my name.
No, I know.
There is an O in it.
Yes, and Becker, B-O-E.
Yeah, I was calling him Boecker.
Yes.
Yeah. So many people.
BenBoecker.com.
And, you know, the one consolation why I decided to change it was somebody told me about Schoenberg, and they were like, well, he has got that weird spelled name. And I was like, all right, so maybe I could fit in that category of the weird spelled name composer.
And the upcoming show, the date, the location, all of it.
Emerging Artists.
My True Love, A Perfect Musical Fairy Tale, is happening at Emerging Artists Theater at 9 p.m. on March 10th. It's going to be amazing. I have some really fantastic cast members lined up, people that you know, including Aviva is going to be in it.
Aviva, we love her.
Yeah,
it's great.
And we're really, really excited about that show. And it's an original musical. It tells the story of a witch who dreams of falling in love with the perfect prince. So she runs away from home to seek her one true love in a magic land called Magic Land.
You see what I mean about Ben? It's like it's a fairy tale. That's so nice.
I love it. Well, Ben Boecker, thank you so much. We appreciate your coming on, and These Walls Could Talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, now we're into where we just talk some more.
Right. So yeah, I had thrown out that word. Malaysia.
Yes, Malaysia. We would just want to know about it.
How did you get there? How did you go?
How do you go? You performed in the Poconos, and then the next thing I'm reading, you were in Malaysia.
Yeah, you're in Malaysia.
So
it's a long road.
It's a really interesting story. So there, I have I don't know exactly how to describe this person, to be honest, but they're a very significant person in my life. Somebody who I spent a lot of time with
in Malaysia.
Yeah, who I spent a lot of time with here when they lived in New York City.
Okay.
And we had a really wonderful relationship for, a couple of years on and off. And they moved to take care of their mother in Malaysia. So we had planned for me to visit them in March of 2020. And that was when I was supposed to go. And then the pandemic hit. And so that trip did not happen. And I almost went. I was so close to going on that.
Close to taste it. Wow.
I literally said to my parents, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. The flight's tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I decided not to go. And it's probably
you would have been. Right? It would have been a nightmare.
You would have been there for 2 years.
Stuck there.
Yeah, you would have been stuck
so
there.
I decided to stick around, and then years later, now we were able to coordinate the trip. So I went to go visit them for 2 weeks, and because they work at a resort there, they got me this great deal where I could stay on the resort for like a discounted rate, and I gave 3 concerts on the resort. Yeah, it was amazing.
How cool is that? Yeah. Right.
So I'll tell you who this person is because you should follow them and you should follow the resort. Their name is Voon, and you can find them at Vava Voon. They're a wonderful, amazing designer, costume person, and they do social media for this resort in Malaysia.
Oh, how fabulous.
So it was just an amazing trip, and we went all over Malaysia, and I did those 3 concerts, and we're on the beach celebrating New Year's. Like, it was mind-blowing, like just magical.
So see, it happened when it was supposed to happen. Yeah, that's how things are in life.
Exactly.
Yes.
We have a lot of comments, Tim.
I was just gonna say so our dear friend Suze Valet-Genero from Massachusetts says hello, loves. Teresa Sabin, another good friend of ours, says hi, dolls. Have a fabulous show. Cecily Williams. Oh, we love Cecily. She said yes, she was amazing. It was right at the beginning of the show, and I forget who we were talking about.
Maybe Sophia Ramos. Ramos doing Led Zeppelin.
Yes, yes. Jack Phelan says teaching artist is perfect, and teaching you learn too. Bravo.
This is true.
It's true.
Joe Preston says I want to see a whole Ben Boecker show. Well, Joe, you can come along with Wendy.
That's right. He's right here. We'll talk about that. Right.
John Borges, my good buddy from Phoenix, says happy birthday, Wendy.
Thank you, John.
Let me see.
We have Nathan James.
Our dear friend Nathan James. He unfortunately lost his mother a few days ago. But Nathan says hi, Tim, Wendy, and Ben. So
really great to see you on here.
Our heart is with you.
Yeah. Yes, and great to see you on here. So Ben, one of the things I'm reading about you, you've done all these like Purim productions.
Yeah.
What? So you're Jewish?
I'm not Jewish.
I didn't think this John, Purim with the Hamantashen and Purim.
Well, honestly, the only thing I know about Purim is for your consideration. the comedy musical, the
right
Christopher Guest movie.
Right. So the Purim is the story of Esther.
Yes.
And
yes, correct.
How did this come about for you?
So it was a connection through BMI, which is my writer's workshop where I trained in writing. She was working at the Stephen Wise Synagogue on the Upper West Side. And the timing of it was very important because this synagogue has a long, long tradition of doing amazing Purim spiels started by a man named Norman who did them for years, volunteered his time. He would just put on these amazing shows, and then he would license them to other synagogues. And he built this whole repertoire. They did Megillah Mia. They did all these
Megillah Mia.
Did all these amazing Purim spiels. And then he retired from Purim spieling, right? So then they decided they wanted to bring in some outside artists to do this. So they talked to my friend Jess, who I wrote God of Love with. She worked at Stephen Wise, and she brought me into music.
How fabulous.
And I just fell in love with this community because they remind me of my family when I was growing up.
Yes.
Like it reminded me, we always used to go and like do lip syncs every year, and we'd like perform with each other and do all these performances.
Fun stuff with you, right?
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like just like hanging with my family, like putting on a show. So I totally fell in love with it. And I've been there for like 5 or 6 years now. And this is my first year. I am not just music directing. I'm actually directing the Purim spiel as well as music directing the Purim spiel.
Wow.
So I'm so thrilled. It's called Into the Spiel. It's the songs of Stephen Sondheim.
Nice.
Like Into the Woods.
Yeah,
but
like
into the
Into the
spiel.
Woods,
And
yeah.
spiel means so talking, right?
A spiel is a
I'm having
performance.
a spiel. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Tell
could
me
be
what
your
your
spiel.
spiel is. What's your deal? What's your spiel?
Yeah,
Oh my God. There you go. There's a song. What's your deal?
Yeah. And there's the meaning of it as in terms of like the speaking, right? Like
right.
There's also a spiel is the performance of the spiel itself, right? So they call it, you're going to go see the spiel or be in the spiel.
In the spiel.
Yeah.
So there you are. You're knee deep in the spiel.
A
nice Christian boy from Long Island. Never anticipated this.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
right.
Never would have.
And Purim's a very big deal too. It's a very big holiday with noisemakers, and it's just a sister.
Yeah, and like I said, the synagogue, their Purim spiel is a big deal, and it was written about in the New York Times.
I know the Stephen Wise synagogue is so famous.
Yeah, so it's like we're constantly working to improve and like be the best Purim spielers we can be. You know,
I'm telling you, Ben. The thing that I just love about you is you'll like try anything. You'll whatever's presented, you will take on the challenge and go with it.
Yeah.
I love that.
And with the most positive attitude in the world.
That is living. That's living. Because you're getting a lot of life experience and learning a lot of different things. That's wonderful.
We got to get you to Peru. You would just completely, for you, it would be completely mind blowing. Yeah. I agree with you, Tim. The dimension, and one of the reasons I love doing this show and watching people like this perform is seeing the dimension and and the way you make your audiences feel. I mean, my God, it's like everything, you know. These have been very tough times for a lot of people. Let us not forget that complete entertainers like Ben, or you leave there and you feel, oh my God, that was so nice. I feel good. You make people feel good, and there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like it's super important. That's probably why I do art, is to help people get in better touch with their truest self, and that feels good, ideally, right?
I am curious. You did a lot of teaching virtually during the pandemic, because so how did that in your head work for you to go from working live with people to all of a sudden you're on Zoom or one of the other streamers?
It's a good question. For certain things, it was easier. For certain things, it was harder. For teaching private lessons, I actually found it to be pretty easy and pretty seamless.
Really?
Yeah, because it's actually even to some degree better. A lot of the teaching I was doing was in studios where I would be at a piano and the students sort of next to me or at a weird angle. I couldn't always keep my eye on them.
Oh, right.
That's a good point.
Teaching, you're like, you see the student's entire, 3/4 at least. You
right.
can really see every detail of what they're doing. So
Good
if they've got
point.
any tension in their shoulders, or if they're like tilting their head up or anything like that, you see it immediately. Whereas in a more, three-dimensional environment, you're not going to always catch all those nuances. So I found that really helpful, as well as just the ability to like detailed hear everything that's going on. Right. The mics were, evolved to be better quality. Like they weren't great at first. But the hardest thing I think was teaching ensembles. So I did a virtual acapella group.
Oh my God.
Everyone's picture popping up.
Yeah.
What about with the time delay?
So we didn't do it that right. So what we would do is basically we'd go onto Zoom and we'd do warm-ups, and I would sing and have that pretty much everybody would mute and sing along on their own. And then we'd do games and we'd do activities and we'd, learn an arrangement, right? Put the arrangement on the screen, and then we would sing the parts through, but everybody would be on mute. And then everybody would go home and record their part on a video.
Okay.
And they'd send it to me, and I'd take all those videos and take all the sound, and they'd mix it all together and plot it all out on a box, 9 different screens. And as we kept going, it got more and more evolved. And we added a videographer, and we had like all these effects going on, and like it got more and more intense. It was actually a really super fun, creative experience, but it was challenging.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a ton of work.
That is a ton. and no, but it's very impressive.
Again, very creative. Very
Tim, right?
It was super.
I can't think of his name. I had interviewed him years ago, but he was one of the first that did that. He did like a global choral arrangement and had singers from around the world in like 23 different countries contribute, and then did this visual. I got to turn you on to him. It's incredible. I've got to remember what his name is first.
Eric Whitaker. Eric Whitaker.
Eric Whitaker. Yeah.
You know the person, Tim.
I love his music.
Isn't he incredible? He's phenomenal. Yeah. But he was, they had proposed that to him. And so that you reminded me of him when you were talking about that, about putting that together, where you have everybody record their own voices and then it's all clipped together. And the sound that comes out of that is I'm getting goosebumps. It's just amazing. I love it.
It's so complicated.
It is. Yeah.
It's daunting. Wow. That is a whole lot.
And we were doing that with my church too. I sing at Presbyterian Church of Brooklyn every weekend, and we went virtual within the pandemic.
Oh yeah, of course.
We would do that. We'd record ourselves singing different parts to click tracks, and then they would mix it all together and like put the boxes together. And
it's amazing to me how resourceful, right, human beings become when they don't have a choice. Nobody had a choice, and look at what look at what you did. It's really mind-boggling. So you have can you talk about the show you have in development, Freedom?
Freedom. That was a long time ago.
Okay, I have that down.
Emerging artist.
Yeah. That's My True Love. My True Love.
Okay, that's one.
Yeah. So that's like I was saying, it's the story of a witch who dreams of falling in love with the perfect prince, right? And she's looking for someone who's going to be exactly like the prince in her fairy tale book. So he's going to be like super nice and just like always listen to her and always like do the right thing and say the right thing and be really good at cooking and like
he'll vacuum and
all planned out exactly what she wants. And she sings this song, My True Love. Doesn't have to be a lot of things. And spoiler, it does have to be a lot of things.
Yeah. So how do these characters that you develop relate to you personally?
Well, yeah, a lot, right? Yeah. That's
the perfect person.
Yeah. Originally, the song was called Mr. Perfect. That was what
there you go.
Nice.
It evolved because it's a little funnier to have that opposite, right? So that's a better theatrical convention. So that's where the title My True Love came from. But yeah, so she goes off to look for her perfect prince. She winds up meeting an extreme gardener named Hunter, who came to Magic Land from Nebraska when he ingested some unusual magic berries from an Ecuadorian shaman. Which is
there we go.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, right. There you go. Well, and the extreme gardener. Never heard that before. What's the difference between a gardener and a master gardener?
Good question. So in the real world, which is not the world of this show, an extreme gardener is somebody who gardens in difficult conditions. So they may garden in the desert, right? That
of course. Right.
But for him, it means that he plants plants in specifically in dangerous places. So the desert is an example, but he goes on from there to plant flowers in Juneau, Alaska, and he's planting tulips in New York City and Central Park and getting caught by the security guards because he's not supposed to do that, right? So and he travels to Magic Land because he hears there's this forest monster there who, really, wants these Ecuadorian begonias that he's got. So he knows that if he goes there, he's gonna like be in danger because she really wants them. He's like, oh, I'm definitely gonna do that. Like he's really excited.
So he's gonna plant Ecuadorian begonias.
Yeah, he's planting Ecuadorian begonias in Magic Land, which just so happened to be the ingredient that this forest monster character needs in order to heal her heart because she had her love.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Such an imagination.
I love that.
It is amazing.
Thank you.
We
definitely have to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
To collaborate
right,
in creative adventures. Yes.
It's a very Wizard of Ozzy talk.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Of course you do. I do too. And I like it all in color too. And, a lot of what you describe in the things you write could be scenes, with the poppies, with the fields, with the magic, with, all of it, which you really have quite the imagination.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Beautiful.
It's been a long time working on that show. It's evolved over the past 11 years. So
Love it.
It just gets deeper. It keeps deeper.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, Ben, I've really enjoyed talking with you and getting to know you a little bit. This has been it's been wonderful. I'm in admiration of you. Your again, creativity, your sensibility, your boldness and adventure, sense of adventure, and all of that it's a wonderful combination.
Right.
Yeah.
Just charismatic. You are very charismatic, your smile and everything that you give off. And it comes through on here, which is, that's not an easy feat, by the way.
It's really fun to do something like this because so often when you're having conversations with people, you want to be conscious and you want to be like, I want to make sure that I'm not like drawing too much of the conversation, right? But in an environment like this, it's like, I just get to tell you about the things that I do.
Yeah,
it's like,
right? But it is. It's our conversation. That's what we pride ourselves on the show. That it's having a conversation.
And you're such good hosts too.
Oh my God!
That's
what we do.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Oh, well, again, thank you everyone for tuning in to
everyone.
Good Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful guest, the incredible Ben Boecker.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, next week. Thank you.